they've beaten one of the most iconic rugby teams on the planet, game one. So they'll qualify.
And fairly comfortably as well. I know the first half with the early try and you're thinking, oh my word, but actually, and this is all respect to the All Blacks, the French didn't really get out of third or fourth gear. It was a cagey game, but we spoke about the energy. We were buzzing. Like, I was almost crying before the game. It was that emotional, like, as in, you know, we're here, we're pitchside.
Of course, yeah.
Think about what they are dealing with before, and you saw the early try by Talea in the corner, you're thinking...
It took me 2.5 hours to get in today, and I was just thinking about this French team. Stuck in a hotel, knowing this game's been coming for 3 years, knowing it's a sellout. Everywhere you walk, you see your face plastered on billboards, bus stops, on the back of coaches. You know the president's here.
And the social media spotlight that's on the game, which is great for us, but for them, and the pressure coming in. And the big question was going into this game, well, we both had the All Blacks. You had the All Blacks before. I had all the All Blacks by 4.
I had the All Blacks by 5.
Yeah.
I thought after the slapping they got a couple of weeks ago against South Africa, they're not going to be that bad. And then the first play, bang, 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 line break from Rico Ione, and then they scored a try, Mark Tellier in the corner. I thought, here we go, they're back. And they controlled the game really well, but the game got away from them, I think, without getting into too much detail. The biggest compliment, the reason I think France won today is their tactical discipline, and we know they've got an unbelievable kicking game. They kick long, they try and steal yards for a big possession game. I thought them sticking to that task allowed them to create opportunities, even though Damien Penaud in the corner, what a tackle that was from Mwanga.
How good a tackle was that?
Well, that's the tackle of the tournament.
Did you see where he came from? He was miles away. He was miles away, and Damien Penaud went on to score later on, so we'll give him that. Richie Mwanga was miles away. The speed on him. But Damien Penaud, look, this taught, and you can maybe talk about this as well. Like, Mwanga knocks that out. You're thinking, here we go, is it France's day? Damien Penaud, everyone's been talking about him.
Yeah.
Come of the man, come of the hour on the biggest stage as one of the world's best wingers, and there's so many good wingers. Damien Penaud carries on like that. My goodness me.
It's an interesting one. We'll talk about the missed try because there'll be loads of people at home watching on telly, watching on RugbyPass TV thinking he should have had the ball in the right hand. If he's got the ball in the right hand, he scores it. There's no way Mwanga gets near him. But as a winger, there's sometimes you feel as if the try's already happened. You're in space. All you've got to do is slide in. It's a try. And so you just lose a little bit of detail, and that's what he did. But I'm not going to focus on what Penaud didn't do. I'm going to focus on what Mwanga did do, because that could have been a game-defining moment. It was an unbelievable tackle. I know it's only game one, I know it's only night one, but that will go down as the try of the tournament. I doubt we'll see better than that.
Yeah, let's just go a little bit on the All Blacks and what their tactics were. Going into a tournament, we chatted about it before, you could see the DNA of an All Blacks team, the counter-attack, the physicality, they could run it from anywhere. Today, apart from the start of the game, they got into the wider channels a few times with some kick passes, arguably a forward pass as well in the corner here. I thought it looked flat, but the screaming and the whistling in the crowd doesn't mean it was forward. It means, please, Jaco Peyper, please just have a check, which he didn't. He was happy. But I was struggling to see what the tactics were of the All Blacks. They obviously lost Will Jordan for a yellow card. Right call, gets sent to the bunker. It wasn't a red card. He comes on, almost happens again for him. But I don't know, something seems a little bit off with this All Blacks team. They're shot for confidence, it looks like. Yeah,
I think normally, especially when we talk about the big four, Ireland, South Africa, New Zealand and France, there is a clear identity or a clear focal point within their game, which you're like, that's exactly what they're trying to do. I felt New Zealand tried to do a number of things, but there wasn't one clear thing they did exceptionally well. And with New Zealand, it's often tempo, or whenever they get in the 22, they're coming away with points. I thought they had a good game today, a good game. But a good game against an exceptional team means you're going to end up losing, and that's what it is. I think for them to lose 2 back-to-back emotional games now, South Africa getting beaten apart, absolutely slapped off the park, and then today losing game 1, you kind of wonder, hey, they're not going to start doubting themselves and trying to reinvent the wheel. But I think they need to get back to that focal point of what is the number one thing that we can be better at anyone else in the world. Because I don't think we've seen it over the last 2 games. let's not forget, just over a month ago, they won the Rugby Championship and they won it at Cantor. So they're a brilliant side. They've just been dented the last couple of matches.
Do you think our expectation is too high of them? And I say that because, well, before the game I had them down as winning. I expect the All Blacks to win. They have never lost a pool game.
Yep.
It's massive. If you're an All Blacks fan and you're watching this, and it was always going to be difficult because it's France at home, under the lights in Paris, the energy, the atmosphere. France are better at the minute, but the All Blacks have never lost a game, so there's history made in that sense.
Yep.
And the hard thing for the All Blacks is going to be, and this is no disrespect to Italy and the other teams in their pool, they're waiting now to the quarter-final. Their next big game is a quarter-final of South Africa, Scotland, come on, or Ireland.
Yeah, do you know what? Your first question is the expectation too high? Expectation, when you get to World Cups, is an absolute privilege. Because if there is no expectation, it's because you've been playing crap. New Zealand aren't a crap side. They're an unbelievable side. Yes, they fought the last couple of weeks. As you rightly mentioned there, they've never lost a pool stage match up until this point. They're the only team in World Rugby history that have won back-to-back World Cups. So they've been the standard bearer for 2-3 decades, so the expectation's always going to surround them. I still think they're probably the best supported team on the planet. I was there at Twickenham 2 weeks ago. They didn't have a lot to cheer about, but there was still plenty of cheering tonight. It was hard to drown out this home crowd here, but they're still so well loved, and that's based on, I think, okay, we spoke about it earlier, some of the superstars we saw. There's loads of the French football players. Mbappe, had a chat with him afterwards.
What was he saying?
Huh?
What was Mbappe saying?
I was like, I tried to speak my GCSE French, so I said,
hello.
Tu penses de le match à France la gagne? Your thoughts on the game that France won? And he said, énorme.
Énorme, which means enormous.
Enormous.
It means enormous.
That was his thoughts on it. We should have got him down on the couch.
Well, there's shots of Mbappe celebrating, which is great. I think the whole French football team were here. Well, most of them were here.
Yeah, most of them were here, sat down in front of me, and they were proper buzzing. And do you know what? I was looking down at them just to see their reaction, okay? And they spent a lot of time with their cameras out, taking selfies, taking videos. They were looking around. And we're talking about players that played on the biggest stages, in the biggest matches, unbelievably loved wherever they go, and they loved it. Tonight, for me, and I've been involved in rugby 20 plus years now, is the first game where I took my eyes off the pitch and was just totally enamoured with what was going on in the stands. When they start singing the Marseillaise, the national anthem, and people bouncing up and down, I was like, this is cool. If this is what rugby is, moving on forever, I'm in, I'm sold, because the atmosphere was totally electric.
Yeah, the bar's been set. I think in France as well, the one country, let's get on to them, unbelievable country. I got the pleasure, I say the pleasure, it was a tough year playing in Montpellier in the top 14 with Fabien Gaultier, of all people, the French national coach, as our head coach. But this is the country that is leading the charge now. Leading the charge from the energy, from the atmosphere, from the packed out stadiums, from their understanding, their love, their respect for the game. That doesn't mean that any other nation doesn't have, but France seemed the number one. The gap seems to be closing now.
Yeah, they're leading the way.
If football is the number one game, France win this World Cup, that gap, and the profile of these players, and look, we are jumping ahead, but you saw the smiles on their faces, of course, the first game. We spoke about Anton Dupont, but it feels like the gap is definitely closing, which is amazing. Look, we've always spoken about it. This is what we want. We want rugby to be massive. It should be.
Yeah, of course.
We're getting there.
Yeah, and do you know what? Tonight as a neutral, just here, just enjoying the game, loving the game. I just wanted to see a good game. I was chatting to a few guests and around me because it got quite cagey after about 20 minutes. And there was a couple of people I was chatting to. It was their first ever rugby match. I went, what are you making of this? Because we saw quite a lot of kicking, a lot of patient play. And they went, I don't know whether it's a good game or not. I just think it's an amazing atmosphere. And so often we can lambast and slag off the quality of the rugby, but actually I think what fans really want is energy. They really want energy and they really want atmosphere. And of course they want to see tries, and we got some tries tonight, but they're not getting bogged down in caterpillar rucks and the amount of time the ball takes to be delivered from the base of a ruck or any of that stuff. if they feel as if they've got a potent energy and that sense of vibrancy just bouncing around the stadium, I genuinely think they're happy. And it's the things we spoke about before the game. It's sports, but it's entertainment. You don't have to be a rugby nose to love rugby. Who couldn't enjoy a night like tonight? I'm sure you absolutely loved it.
People watching on RugbyPass TV, we were going up by the thousands. We were clicking. It was carnage
Classic
before
us.
the game. But
that's just what we do.
We're relaxed. We're on the sofa now.
Inflatable couches.
They are.
Where'd you get these? B&Q?
No, they were. I think they're from America.